So Ovechkin came back for one more year. Alex Tuch just got $84 million. And Seth Jarvis just had shoulder surgery. If you're a Caniac, one of those three things should probably be keeping you up at night. It's not the one you think. So let me back up. The Washington Capitals just made three of the biggest moves this entire NHL offseason. We play them 4 times a year. They're in our division. And Ovechkin is out there saying they're now one of the best teams on paper. So on the surface, that looks like the Capitals could be a problem. But let me walk you through the math and then tell you what's actually going to hurt us next season. So first, what the Caps did this offseason. So June 23rd, they traded for Jordan Kyrou. On June 24th, they got Alex Tuch in sign and trade from Buffalo, gave him 8 years, $84 million a year. So that's $10.5 million cap hit through 2033-34. On July 1st, they signed Boone Jenner for 4 years at $5.75 million, and defenseman Vincent Desharnais to 4 years at $4.2 million. So then, big news, Ovechkin came back on a 1-year deal. That's a lot of activity for a team that missed the playoffs last year at 43, 30, and 9. And I get why Ovi's excited, right? On paper, that lineup did get deeper, kind of feeling like overnight. But on paper is the operative phase here. So when you actually look and compare those additions to what we have in Raleigh, the picture looks a little different. So I'm going to start with the one that jumped out at me. So Alex Tuch, $10.5 million. Last year, he put up 33 goals, 66 points in 79 games. Seth Jarvis put up 32 goals, 66 points in 71 games. So same point total. Jarvis played in 8 fewer games. Jarvis is 24. Tuch is 30. Jarvis cost $7.42 million against the cap. Tuch cost $10.5 million. So Washington paid a premium, $3 million premium for a guy who's older, maybe an older version of the guy we already have, right? And they had to give up David Kampf and a 3rd-round pick to do it. So now, to be fair, Tuch is a proven top 6 winger, right? He's been remarkably consistent. 33-plus goals in 3 of the last 4 seasons. He plays a legit game, all right? And that contract, I think that's fine. I think it'll be fine for a few years. I like Alex Tuch. He and I both grew up in the same area near Syracuse, New York. So that contract might be fine for a few years. I just don't think he's a needle mover against us. So here's the other one. Jordan Kyrou is the more interesting piece. He had 30-plus goals, 65-plus points, 3 straight years before a big drop-off last year. 18 goals, 46 points in 72 games. So if he bounces back with a better supporting cast in Washington, which I think he could, he becomes more of a threat. But even his ceiling is roughly maybe what Jackson Blake gave us last year at age 2 at a fraction of the cost. Blake had 22 goals and 53 points. Jackson Blake's on the upswing. Kyrou, 28, coming off his worst full season since he became like a top 6 regular. So let's go to the next one. Boone Jenner, fine bottom 6 ad. 13 goals, 38 points, 67 games last year in Columbus. Face-off guy. Hitter, veteran. I think he was a captain at one point. Tell me in the comments. I think he was a captain. He's probably, kind of like a Jordan Martinook for us. I'd take Jordan Martin. All right. So not really a needle mover, I don't think, against Carolina. Then there's Ovechkin. Look, respect, right? Like, what am I going to say? Guy's the all-time leader in goals. He scored 32 last season at 40 years old. I think he led the team in points with 64. It's absurd. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, right? Ovechkin is Ovechkin, 1 of 1. But 64 points would have made him like our 5th highest scorer. Aho had 80. Ehlers had 71. Svechnikov had 70. Jarvis had 66. Even if Ovi does it again, it gets harder every year. He's going to be 41. All right. So let's actually stack it up. So if you look at their new additions, Kyrou, let's say he bounces back to a career norm, and Ovechkin's putting up like 65 points. Tuch is putting up like 66. Kyrou at like 70 if the stars align. We had guys, just look at Aho, 80 points. Ehlers, 71. Svechnikov, 70. Jarvis, 66. So Washington's ceiling, I mean, they added good pieces. I like what we got, right? And we're going to play them 4 times. They got better, right? They didn't get better than us. So, which brings me back to what I opened with, because this is what I'm really thinking about. So when I read articles about like Ovechkin saying this is a great team on paper, he's coming back and stuff, like Caps got better. I'm not worried necessarily about that. It's not Ovechkin coming back. It's not Tuch getting 84 million. It's what I started with. I'm actually more thinking about Seth Jarvis having shoulder surgery. That's the thing, right? That I started this with. So Tolsky said the projected timeline is 4 to 6 months, which means Jarvis is missing the start of the season, right? 66 points that we're talking about comparing him to Tuch, but he's not going to be in the lineup for us maybe until December. I've read in a lot of the comments when I made the other video about the shoulder surgery. You know, the bounce back is maybe harder than I appreciated, right? So even when he comes back, I think there's going to be a warm up phase to that, to really getting his legs under him, getting his shoulder feeling right. And it's not just Jarvis, it's Freddie too. I know Freddie didn't have a great regular season last year, but he's an Edmonton Oiler now. All right. He won a lot of the games we needed him to get us to the cup, right? Kachekov is a good goalie. Questions about that now? How the workload gets shared with Bussy? There's some work to do there. So the vulnerability for me isn't that the Capitals added depth to that lineup, to a lineup that missed the playoffs. It's whether our own guys are healthy to start the season and what our goaltending situation is going to look like and how comfortable that's going to be. So should we be worried about the Caps? We should respect that that team got better, but they upgraded a roster that finished below us. Ovechkin's a legend, but he's 41. Tuch and Kyrou are good players. I don't think they tilt the ice against us. And you know, I'm going to pick our guys. I'm going to pick Aho, right, over even any of the guys they signed. So, but the team we open the season with without Jarvis and Anderson, that's worth being more concerned about. You know, I think there's going to be some ways that we fill the Jarvis spot that are interesting long term, but we're still without Jarvis to start the season. The team we should actually be watching in October is Florida, but that's going to be a video for a different day. So drop a comment. What are you worried about going into this season? Are you worried about the Caps or any other teams that look like they may have gotten a little bit better? Anyway, hit subscribe if you're a Caniac like me so we can just keep breaking this stuff down together and having some fun. Catch you in the next video.